Okay, this is the summary starting with ושהו. So we talked about the experience the Jews had at Matan Torah and the medrash that says, how is it possible ordinarily if something's too heavy for one person, two people carry it? How is it possible that it was too much for the Yidden, 600,000, but Moshe could carry it? So the Alter Rebbe goes on to describe that historical event where the neshamas left their bodies and their capacity, that Moshe Rabbeinu, who had a clarity in Nevuah that was comparable to Zeh, this is it, and he was able to absorb that experience in contrast to the standard Jew who was overwhelmed by it. Moshe Rabbeinu was described as being 10 amos tall, that is reaching up to the 10th level, including that level of Chachma, which is the source of this revelation of godliness. The Maimer goes on to describe about this distinctive characteristic of koyach ma, the willingness to go beyond, the willingness to go to what? Chachma. That koyach is twice the level of yad. 28 is koyach, yad is 14, because of the holy hands that we are able to organize it. That is, the Jewish people were able to execute Kedusha through their declaration of obedience, Nasa, before Nishma, we will do even before we understand. That is, the doing, the hands are the mechanism through which they become connected with the infinity of Hashem, in contrast to the intellect, which was distinctive or available only for Moshe Rabbeinu. And this is the idea that when we engage with our koyach, we are able to experience that degree of closeness and absorption of the infinity of Hashem, comparable to the level of Moshe, who's at the characteristic of Chachma. And it goes on to describe that in some greater detail, talks about who was mighty. We recognize from Pirkei Avos, the ability to conquer our impulses is more profound than even conquering our city, because of the capacity to absorb godliness through the koyach of our behavior. Then there is the beer on this. We talked about the mimer, the statement we say in the Friday night davening that the last thing we do, soif maisa, is the intent all along, machshava techila, that the soif maisa is the execution, to take the loftiest level, that which is at the highest level of thought, and manifest it. And this is how the mitzvahs aseh, the obligations, come from the highest level of chesed, because they are our opportunity to bring godliness into the world. The mitzvahs lois aseh come from the highest level of gevura, our capacity to restrain ourselves from indulgence. We talked about why shavuos is relative to, or is parallel to Yitzchak, who is the characteristic of gevura, because shavuos is about the instructions and about the restraint, and that's why the Aseres HaDibros, which list off including the prohibitions that suggest that those behaviors might even be enacted. So there might be murder, therefore we're prohibited against murder, because we are drawing down from this loftiest of level that is manifest in our restraint. We talk specifically about the prohibition against adultery and about the godliness of the marital union that can be distorted, and how that message of Kedusha effectuates this restraint, and that as we are fulfilling the words of Torah, we are doing those words, and that is through our actions we draw down this loftiest level, which is why the mitzvahs of post-Matan Torah are, from this perspective, superior to the mitzvahs of the Avos, because we are like the Baal Tshuva, who stands at a level that is born of such intensity and such greater Heseder, such greater stimulation of his divine love for Hashem, that it evokes that which is otherwise hidden, and therefore even the avodah of the avos of the tzaddikim cannot stand in that same spot, because of the discipline and the necessity of revealing that level of intensity that is required in order for the Jewish people who don't have the ability to be at such a lofty spiritual level as Moshe, and their fulfillment of mitzvahs in that circumstance. And that's what it means, that we are obedient to his words. That is, as we explained before, that which was within the words to attain and to touch that level of Kedusha that is otherwise hidden.